Shell-funded impact investment company Allon has announced a $1 million investment in solar energy company Salpha Energy Nigeria. The company has an active distributor network of over 350 individuals, cooperatives, and traders nationwide, with key partnerships with payment collection enablers such as Infi branches, Paga, and InterSwitch. Joining us to discuss solar energy is Sandra Chukwudozie, the Chief Executive Officer at Salpha Energy. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's nice to be here.
Great stuff. So, congrats on the investment from Allon. What do you plan on using the funds for?
So for us, it's all about expanding our base, because the initial issue that we had was having that long, protracted working capital cycle. And we had distributors who we couldn't push these products out to. So now what we want to do is expand regionally across the country, grow our distributor base, but also grow our workforce. We want to bring in women into the space and give them a seat at the table. Innovative women who are willing to crack this energy problems with indigenous thinking. We want them to come forward.
Great stuff.
Yeah.
Speaking of cracking this energy thing, as far as solar energy is concerned, what do we do about the costs for folks who have larger homes and are getting panels, inverter batteries, and everything? What's the strategy to bring those costs down?
So the beauty of the industry is that right now there are models that are helping bring those costs down. The first is pay as you go. That's a model that says if you have a system, for example, costing you 100,000 naira, that payment can be broken down into 6 months. And so that shortens and reduces the upfront cost of solar. There's another model called power as a service. And what that does is that the solar company installs the system in your office or home, and then you pay a tariff, just like the grid tariff that you would pay. Yeah.
Okay. Does government have to get, I don't want to use the S word, the subsidy, but does government have a role to play here in, outside of pay as you go and solar energy as a service? Any role for government at all?
Absolutely. So I would say it's about sharpening those policies, because right now the ease of doing business for Nigeria is not quite there yet. And so we need to make that industry, the renewable energy industry, really attractive to pull in private sector partners. We're also looking at, for example, how do we waive off those tariffs that make these goods difficult to import? How do we make sure that we are creating an environment where we can have localization of that value chain, bringing our supply near shore? So these ways are ways that we could actually help the industry grow.
Okay. I just asked our last guest, the CEO of Innocent Motors, about climate change conversations, whether they can put together an electric vehicle. What's, in terms of, and you're on the renewable side, obviously, so maybe you have a bit of a bias, but the conversation around the energy transition from fossil fuels to renewables for Africa, is it possible? Is it practical?
It's very possible. So what people don't realize is that we're saying net zero carbon emissions. It's not no fossil fuel. And so what that means is that we're going to have an energy mix that encompasses, less polluting fossil fuels like gas and renewables as well, solar, geothermal, hydro. And so what that would do, for example, for a rural customer in Africa, in Nigeria, who, for example, comes back home from the farm and goes to cook with firewood, and goes to power home with a lantern, he would say to her, let's give you LPG to cook. Let's give you a solar light bulb to help you light up your home. Let's give you a system that can power your phone to help you make calls and attract more business. And so your home transitions to cleaner energy.
Is there a time frame for that? Nigeria is a large country. I mean, we're the biggest, frankly, on the continent. So for our size, you've talked about rural communities. I don't know, is it even fair to even ask you a practical time frame? 10 years, 20? How do you see that working?
Let me put that hat on and say that globally it's 2030 for the SDG goal 7 to be adopted. And so right now the major hindrance will be finance, making sure that finance is going into this sector. But the beauty is that we're beginning to see national initiatives coming up. CBN is powering the federal government Solar Power Nigeria program to grow and scale up 10 million homes in Nigeria to clean energy. You're seeing impact investors powered by Shell, Allon, that is looking for young, enterprising Nigerians to give them opportunities to really scale these solar solutions to crack those Nigerian problems. And so with that in mind, I mean, money flowing in, enterprise flowing in, we actually see that we can get there. I mean, it's a marathon, not a race.
No,
so
overnight thing.
We're going to get there.
Gotcha. I really have to ask your take on fake products. It's not just in your industry, almost every industry in Nigeria. I don't know if it's a border issue or what, but how considering the cost involved in
Yeah.
solar energy, you know, nobody wants a fake inverter battery.
No.
But how do you address the proliferation of fake products?
So the beauty is that in May, SON came together with GIS and Nigeria Ministry of Power to create a standard procedure that would enable us, you know, see how these solar systems are being imported into Nigeria. And so what that does is that you see a crackdown on fake products. For example, in markets like Alaba, Idumota, distributors there that I've worked with reported that some products were being seized.
Okay.
And so there's a lot of action going into solving that problem of fakes.
Awareness campaigns, yeah? I bring this up every renewable energy guest that comes on the show. Warner Brothers, Looney Tunes, there was a cartoon where Bugs Bunny, I think, and Daffy Duck are roommates. Yosemite Sam, their neighbor, gets solar panels. He's bragging about the fact that he doesn't have to be on the grid anymore. Then a thunderstorm comes and he has to move in with it, blah, blah, blah. It was aimed at children, right? So what's your take on renewable awareness in Nigeria and, you know, the campaigns for kids, letting them understand what the importance is of solar energy? Are you satisfied with where things are as far as the campaign is concerned, as far as awareness campaign is concerned, is what I'm asking?
We're getting there. Lots of solar companies are trying to catch these kids young, going in there into their school programs and trying to show them how solar can be a viable way to power homes and businesses. So my company, for example, has championed lots of school competitions where we assemble these kids together and teach them how to assemble solar panels together and just make a small modular solar product. Now, going larger, it's important that we domesticate research in our universities because right now we're not seeing a lot of that. If you look abroad, you see that companies that are growing into the space are getting the research from their universities, young kids. So how are we making that environment innovative enough so that they are learning how these solar solutions can enable them, you know, transition Nigeria? So it starts with the schools and it builds up from there.
Great stuff. I'm not sure if you've seen cooking gas prices lately,
I've
but
seen those. It's crazy.
It's nuts. You know, now this might be a stretch. This question for you might be a little bit of a stretch, but can solar make an impact here where I can, you know, wouldn't have to get cooking gas and then you have to use, you know, panels in order to cook and so on? How can the renewable energy mix alleviate these type of cost increases that Nigerians are facing for other options?
So the fact is that globally, you can see that solar solutions can power homes and even cooking. But coming back to Africa, that still remains a challenge. And we've looked to LPG to solve those issues. Now, unfortunately, because of the nature of prices, we're focused on just importing these products into Nigeria. It will take a lot of time for us to get there where solar can power clean cooking. But I believe that government subsidies can come in to actually alleviate those who are furthest behind, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you see, just a minute ago, we're going into a new year, the energy move, I mean, there's an election in 2023, so I don't know how hopeful you are that things can still move in 2022. What's your outlook for the new year as we go into that, as far as energy is concerned and your renewables?
So I'm very optimistic. I mean, COP26 just happened. Nigeria had a very robust plan for how to have a just transition. So I'm confident that even with national policies in place, Solar Power Nigeria, powered by CBN for central government Nigeria, if we push these policies towards the next year and the year beyond, I think we're well on the way to achieving climate change objectives.
Great stuff. Sandra Chukwudozie, CEO of Salpha Energy, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, great stuff.